Hey guys, welcome to Motoroids.com. My name is Amit and this right here is the new Ertiga, and quite a lot has changed with this car now. If you really look at the face of the car, the side of the car, the rear, but that's not just it. The dimensions of the car on the inside have changed, and now it has a lot more space than it used to have before. So let's talk about the most important aspect of the new Ertiga, which by the way is the space first. And the most amazing thing about this new generation car is the fact that the wheelbase has not changed at all. So from where have Maruti managed to liberate all that space? Well, there are two aspects to it. First is the engine bay, which has been shrunk by 56 mm, and then there is the length, which has been increased by 99 mm, and all that space has been put into the cabin, where it has translated into about 70 mm extra space for the third row. Apart from that, a very important aspect of the MPV segment at this point in time is the entry of the Marazzo and obviously the Innova, which is the king of the hill. But since you would be very interested in knowing how the car stands as compared to the Marazzo and Innova, we did a small study and here are some facts. Now, in terms of length, the Ertiga is shorter by 190 mm as compared to the Marazzo and shorter by 340 mm as compared to the Innova. In terms of width, it's narrower by 136 mm as compared to the Marazzo and by 95 mm as compared to the Innova. The height on the Ertiga by itself has increased by 5 mm, but still it's shorter by 84 mm and 105 mm respectively to the Marazzo and the Innova. And the wheelbase, which is by the way the most important thing for liberating space inside the cabin, is surprisingly comparable to the Marazzo and the Innova, and it's only shorter by 20 mm and 10 mm respectively. In terms of the weight though, this is much lighter, and the Marazzo weighs about 550 to 600 kg more, and the Innova weighs about 650 to 700 kg more. Apart from the space, the big change on the Ertiga is the aesthetics of it, and the car now has a solid personality. It was evolved from the Swift platform and now it has a very strong personality of its own. And the face of the car is defined by these twin barrel headlamps, which also have a projector unit, a very nicely done chrome grille, and these rather aggressively styled fog lamp housings. The face now has a lot more flair, a lot more aggression, a lot more muscle than the car that it replaces, and it is also accentuated by these very taut creases on the bonnet. A small omission here is the lack of a DRL or any LED lighting, which may or may not be important to you as a consumer. It's something that stands out, and we really think that Maruti would have done well by providing that feature. Quite a lot has changed on the side as well, and we'll start with the wheels. These are rather smart looking 15-inch alloys, and they are available only on the top variants. However, we think that for such a large car, Maruti would have done well by providing 16-inch wheels. The tires here are 185 section, 185/65 Bridgestone rubber. It's Ecopia model. You have these ORVM mounted blinkers, and you have this very nice taut crease on the side, which lends a lot of athleticism to this car. Earlier the car looked very bland from the side. Now it looks very muscular, very tight and very athletic, and I quite like this very straight, very nice crease which runs through these chrome handles, which by the way are available only on the top spec variants. Another big highlight of the side of this car is its big windows, which lend a lot of airiness to the cabin, and a special mention needs to be made of this rear window, which really makes the third row very airy, and it makes it feel more spacious than it is. The roof is a floating type design, and overall from the side the car looks very smart, much better than how it used to look before. The Ertiga really stands out at the rear, and Maruti have tried to give it a sense of width by these horizontal lines, and it's very evident with this very sharp crease which is very horizontal in nature. This chrome strip which is done just right, it's not overdone, it looks rather nice and very premium. Also, these reflectors and their housings are a nod to the fog lamps at front with this aggressive extension on the bumper. You have these sensors here. This is not the top of the line ZXi Plus variant, so you don't have a rear view camera, but you have that feature on the top of the line ZXi or ZDi Plus variants. The tail lamps need a special mention here. They have these LED units inside, and they look rather nice. They've done it very well, and they remind me somewhat of the Volvos and to an extent the Jazz as well, but I think this design of extending the tail lamps onto the pillar is something which is trending right now, and Maruti have also done that, and it looks rather well. It has a design, a character of its own, and overall it comes together very, very well. So in all, if you really look at the design of the Ertiga, it looks a lot better than the car that it replaced. Despite having grown in size, it masks it well with those sharper creases and its athletic body, and it doesn't just look utilitarian now, it looks a lot more premium than it used to, and I really think that a lot of people are going to like this design and buy it for their personal use as well. Now we're going to get inside the cabin, where space, as they say, is the USP of the Ertiga. So time now to get inside the cabin and see how much the space has actually increased from a practical perspective. I'm in the driver's seat now, and it is height adjustable, so that's a good start. Now I'm sitting in the petrol automatic, and this is the ZXi, not the ZXi Plus variant, and there are some differences as compared to the ZXi Plus variant, and I would do well pointing them out to you. So first and foremost, you don't have the wood finish here, you don't have leather on the steering, you also don't have the Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compliant color touchscreen here. So it's rather basic, although it looks very nice, but it's not the full touchscreen color infotainment unit that you have on the ZXi Plus variant. However, if you look at the dash, the appointment of the dash is very similar to the ZXi Plus. The dash is the same, this forward insert is the same, the lower portion of the dash is the same. You have climate control, you have this 12 volt power socket here, you have an USB and aux in, and you obviously get this chiller which would help you keep your drinks cool as well. This flat surface here is also very nice and very usable for putting your wallet, your keys, your cell phones, whatever you wish. The seats are very comfortable, there is good bolstering here, and you also have space under the armrest to put your keys, although I don't really think that a wallet or a big cell phone is going to fit in here. This is adjustable and you can move it fore and aft as per your convenience. This is the glove box. It's not very large, neither is it chilled, but then again it's additional space and it doesn't hurt to have that extra space. You also have this small compartment here to put your toll tickets or any other stuff that you want to put. You also have this toll ticket holder here, and you have a vanity mirror on the other side of the sunshades. So the seat is very comfortable, there is good bolstering, and I really think that you're going to be comfortable driving for long distances being in this seat. Being an MPV, the space inside is the USP of the Ertiga, and we are going to get straight into the second row to let you know how much the space has increased. To start off, I'll give you some perspective. I am 5'10" and I've set the driver's seat to my driving position, and I'm sitting in the second row right now, and as you can see, there is ample of knee room here. There is no problem in terms of leg room, although if I really compare it with the bigger MPVs like the Marazzo or the Innova, there is a difference, and you can clearly tell that it's not as spacious as the other two cars, but then again this is much less expensive. However, the one big advantage that you have with this car is A, you can recline the backrest of the second row seat all the way back if you so wish, and B, these seats are sliding, so you can take them forward or backwards to make space for the third row passengers. So that's just one of the highlights. There is no protruding hump here, so you can move your leg around, and the another big thing is that there is space for three to be seated abreast, which means that for big families the second row can be used to seat three for in-city driving for medium distances, and if there are family members who don't mind too much, you can actually take them for long journeys as well. However, if you're going to be traveling with only two people, there is this armrest, and it's reasonably wide for the two people sitting in the second row to put their elbows and arms without them brushing. You get this blower for the second row, and it's got 3 fan speeds. You can divert the flow of the air, but you cannot shut these vents off completely. Another important thing that I noticed was that while there is space for 3 people here, you don't have the adjustable headrest for the third passenger, which would have been nice had that been included here. With the headrest up, however, this seat is quite comfortable. There is very good under-thigh support, and this car would make for very comfortable journeys even for long distances. So that was a story about the second row, but we are very sure that you want to know how it is in the third row. So let's first see how to get into the third row of seats. So for that, what you need to do is you need to pull this lever, tilt it down, and then pull it forward, and you'll have space to get inside. This is very convenient. Step in, which is very easy, and get into the third row. Now you can use this button again to slide the seat all the way back or move it forward if you so wish, and then take the backrest upright. I'm going to show you the knee room at its maximum, at its minimum, and with someone sitting comfortably up front, but with not the seat all the way back. So let's see how the state of affairs is. So let me just slide the seat all the way forward and take the backrest here. So obviously there is a lot of space here now, but nobody can sit up front. Now let me take it all the way back. And still, as you can see, my knees are not brushing with the back of the middle row seats. And if somebody in the second row is ready to compromise with his knee room a little bit, like so, I actually have quite a lot of knee room for myself. So this seat in this position would actually make for a very comfortable seat. And since I have an armrest here and a big window to look out, I'm not feeling claustrophobic, and I really can imagine myself traveling medium to long distances in this seat. And that would also be because I can recline this seat by quite some margin, and that really adds to the comfort. Headroom, as you can see, me being 5'10", my head is just about brushing with the roof, but it's not uncomfortable at all, and I really think that I can rest my head against the headrest and travel comfortably in this space. So the packaging of this car, looking at how Maruti have managed the space inside, is fantastic, and they have liberated a lot of space. You have the space for 2 bottle holders here, and you also have a 12-volt socket. So the amenities are there, the space is there, and this car in its current form is actually capable of making 7 people travel in comfort, even for medium to long journeys. So that's a commendable feat that has been carried out by Maruti, and full marks to them for that. Talking still about the space, Maruti has a very cool trick up its sleeve. So first and foremost, the boot space has increased by about 50%, and now it's 209 liters. With these 2 trays in their position, the loading lip is absolutely flat, so you won't have any problem sliding stuff in or taking it out. However, if you want more space, you can take these trays out and you'll have some more space, and you can put these here and they'll fit just fine, and you have more space. Another cool thing about these trays is that if you want to hide things from prying eyes of the passers-by, you can put that stuff here and hide it with these trays. It's very usable, very convenient, and we have seen these trays on a lot of other cars also, but there it's not been done so well. So again, good job by Maruti. If you tumble down all the seats, the second row once also, you would have liberated 803 liters of space in all, which is a lot of space for the kind of money that Maruti is asking you. So tons of space inside this car, and as I mentioned before, a phenomenal job by Maruti in terms of packaging and in terms of liberating a lot of space without having increased the wheelbase at all. Before I start talking about the comfort in the front seats, I think I'll do well by talking about the cubby holes in the door panels, and you have space for a 1 liter bottle in the front door panel as well as in the rear door panel, and you have some space here as well to put your wallet or cell phone, whatever you want, and it's rather long, so it can actually take your 5.5-inch cell phone as well. In addition, you have this magazine holder here, you have a 12-volt socket here, and you have these 2 small crevices again to put your cell phone or whatever you want to put in there. I believe that while this 12-volt socket is good for power, it would have really been nice had Maruti provided a USB socket for charging cell phones. It's more convenient. It's just a thought, doesn't cost much, but would have really helped increase the convenience factor. So while you're getting in the car, you don't really have to use the key. If the car is locked, you just have to keep the key in the pocket, and you have this button here, you press it and you would be able to enter without having to take the key out. You have this push button start as well, and this is the button to turn the engine start stop off, and this is the button to turn traction control, that's the ESP, off, and it's available only on the automatic variant along with the hill hold function, so you have to be mindful of that. ESP is there but only for the automatic variant, and automatic is available only on petrol, not on diesel. The buttons are very similar to what you have seen before on Maruti cars, and you get these power folding mirrors, as well as electric adjustment, so that's a nice touch. In addition, you have this very information rich instrument console which has the tachometer on the left, and you have the speedo on the right, and you have this color screen which lets you know all the information about the car, and it's derived basically from the Baleno as well as the Ciaz, and it gives you all the information that you want. So it's got everything that you need to know, including your average fuel efficiency, your instantaneous fuel efficiency, your average speed, idle stop time, clock. It's also got this party trick up its sleeve, which essentially is the G-force meter. So when the car is going around corners, you can see how much G-force is the car going through. And you also have this power and torque meter, which lets you know how much power and torque is being sent to the wheels. The Ertiga now comes with a smart hybrid system which enhances its fuel efficiency and helps the acceleration also very marginally. And this readout here lets you know whether the batteries are being charged or the motor is drawing power from the battery. Audio is 4 speakers and 2 tweeters, and the audio quality is reasonably good. If you're not an audiophile, you would not find it problematic. The quality of the buttons and everything is par for the course. I don't really have anything to complain about. It's pretty decent, and for the price there is absolutely nothing to complain about. The quality of the dials and everything is pretty nice, and I really think that Maruti Suzuki have done a very good job with the cabin. Another great feature is this very horizontally laid out AC vents, and they look very nice to me. We have seen this feature on quite a few luxury cars, and it's good to see that Maruti have changed the layout of the dashboard so drastically, and it really lends the cabin a very unique character, and I quite like what I see here. It's been rather well done, so full marks to Maruti for having overhauled the cabin of the Ertiga so well. I'm driving the 1.5 petrol mated to the 4-speed automatic, and it's a new inclusion on the Ertiga, and it essentially lends this car a lot of comfort, a lot of convenience, especially in traffic conditions. This transmission, as I mentioned in my Ciaz review also, is not for the enthusiast. It's meant for comfort, for convenience, and it gets a little noisy if you want to mash the pedal to rev it hard. So it's meant essentially for driving in traffic conditions to save you the trouble of shifting gears. The car also comes with a dead pedal, by the way, which enhances the comfort over longer drives. So it's going to help you phenomenally by reducing the effort that you had to make operating clutch and the gear lever. And the fuel efficiency also is not bad. It's 18.69 kilometers to the liter as compared to the 19.35 kmpl on the manual. So fuel efficient, comfortable, convenient 4-speed automatic, proper torque converter, but not meant for the enthusiast. This is how the gear selector on the automatic looks like. So you have park, rear, neutral, drive, 2 where it engages 2 permanently. Gear, the car would run only in the 2nd gear, and low for steep climbs and hilly areas. You don't have a manual mode, and it's pretty simple and straight. After driving the petrol automatic, we are now behind the wheel of the petrol manual, and this is the familiar 1.5 liter K15 engine, which was first seen on the Ciaz with 103 HP of power and 138 Newton meters of torque, mated to a 5-speed manual transmission, which is reasonably good short throws, not the slickest but not bad at all. The engine here is pretty linear, starts responding to throttle inputs from 1200 RPM, although it's not very brisk, but keeps building power as you climb up the rev range. Very linear, very usable, and tons of torque at the bottom end. So very usable for this kind of an application. Gets a little noisy after 2,500-3,000 RPM, but not to an extent where it becomes a deal breaker. Could have been a little more smooth. The fuel efficiency on this engine is 19.34 kmpl, which is very good for a car this size. And in the city, you will get about 13 to 14 kilometers to the liter, and on the highway, you may get up to 17 kilometers to the liter if you're driving with a light right foot. Alright, so we are driving the diesel variant now, the ZDI plus the top of the line variant, and as you can see, this one has a much nicer steering wheel. It's leather wrapped, and it also has this forward with a flat bottom, so feels much nicer. However, the steering by itself should have been a lot more feelsome. It's very inert at dead center, and I really think that Maruti should have done a better job with the weight on the steering wheel. On the top of the line variant, you also have this familiar touchscreen with navigation as well as Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatibility. It also is compatible with MirrorLink, Talking about the diesel specifically, it's a familiar 1.3 liter diesel with 89 HP and 200 Newton meters of torque. There is some amount of lag below 2000 RPM, although the car is still tractable below that point. So in traffic you can use it below 2000 RPM, although it really comes into its element only after 2000 RPM. It gets very brisk after 2000, doesn't feel its size and weight, although it's not a very heavy car, but for its size it feels reasonably quick. The fuel efficiency is over 25 kilometers to the liter, which is obviously best in class, and for a 7-seater for such a large car, that's a phenomenal fuel efficiency, and you'd easily be able to get over 15-16 kilometers per liter within the city and about 18 to 20 kilometers to the liter on the highway. The engine gets a little noisy after 2,500-3,000 RPM, and some amount of noise from the road, tires and ambient noise does filter into the cabin. But overall it's a very comfortable car. The suspension is really well set up, and for what it's supposed to do, to move people, it's very well sorted. It's got a reasonably sure-footed set of 4 wheels. There are discs up front and drums at the rear, so the braking is also quite reassuring. And while it's not an enthusiast's car per se, but it's reasonably good to drive, and for its size it drives rather well. Now the Ertiga has been launched at a very attractive price. The base petrol starts at 7.44 lakh rupees, goes all the way to 9.5 lakh rupees. The diesel starts at 8.84 lakh rupees, goes all the way up to 10.9 lakh rupees, and the petrol 80 ZXi is retailing for 9.95 lakh rupees. And at that price, you really cannot fault this car. The kind of space that it has and the kind of things that it can do is absolutely phenomenal. If you really compare it with the Marazzo starts at about 10 lakh rupees, goes all the way to 14 lakh rupees, and the Innova is absolutely not comparable. It starts at about 14.5 and goes to 23 lakh rupees. So in terms of value, the kind of stuff that you get for the kind of price that you're paying, the value proposition is absolutely not comparable to anything else. Sure, the Marazzo is bigger. If you sit inside, you'll realize that that car feels more substantial. There is more power on offer, and it feels like a more solid car too. But for this price, the kind of things that this car can do, there's absolutely nothing that we want to fault this car for. And the new Ertiga, in every way of the word, is probably the best value for money car you can buy in the MPV segment. I really hope that this video was of some use to you. If you liked it, hit the like button, subscribe to Motoroids, share this video with your friends and family who would want to buy this car. And until next time, this is Amit Changai signing off. Drive hard, drive free, and drive safe.